Hey everybody, Juan here with a Byte That channel update, and we haven't done one of these since August of last year, so we've been long overdue, but we've been talking about many things for a couple of months, trading ideas back and forth about what it is we should do in 2017, about the things that have worked in 2016, the things that haven't, things happening with YouTube. Our goal with Byte That as a channel and then Byte That as a podcast. So this is going to be a pretty laid-back update. I don't even know how long this video is going to be. I don't want to edit this. I want to make sure it's as raw and uncut. And I want you guys and gals to get the real feedback about how we're feeling about things. So overall, in 2016, we've been feeling very comfortable with how the podcast has grown. Anybody that's been listening for a long time, you may notice we're sometimes getting a little bit wackier. Or we are laughing a lot more on the podcast. It's simply because we've been able to be more of ourselves. Ryan, Keith, and myself have known each other for 13 years. So naturally, we do dumb things. We say dumb things. We laugh at our own jokes. We laugh at things that aren't even funny, but we find funny because we're friends. We're family. You know, 13 years does that to you. And next year, we are going to be going to WrestleMania for the first time ever. We're going to be together, the three of us. You know, I've met Ryan on 2 occasions. He came to Puerto Rico for my wedding. Keith, I met on 1 occasion when we went to WrestleMania in 2012, and the two of them have never met before in person. They almost did. So we're looking forward to that. Any ideas of things that we should do, definitely drop a comment for that. We're not worried too much about that now because WrestleMania is still a ways off, but time goes by really quickly. So let us know what you think we should do. We want to have a good time, obviously enjoy the Hall of Fame, NXT TakeOver, and a bunch of other things related to that. So that's been it for the podcast, right? We've been very happy with that. We've extended the podcast length a little bit. We used to start at 15 minutes length to an hour. Now we're doing it about an hour and 20 minutes, and it's because we want to make sure we add some more of the community stuff, right? It's really easy to cover Raw, SmackDown, close-out show. But it gets a little boring. It gets dull because it's formulaic. Because every week it's, well, we're going to cover this and that, and then we're going to end the show. So we're able to just add some of your questions. We can laugh. We can talk about the things that are going on in our lives. And we've been wanting to do that for a while, right? Whenever you start a channel, you're afraid of, hey, what if we're just more us? You know, that people subscribe for this, people view for that. But at some point, you got to do what makes you happy. So anybody that's interested in starting a YouTube channel, just a quick thing is just do whatever you want. Like, feel comfortable and make sure that you include the community. And that's what we've hoped that we have done. Even though most people actually engage with us through Twitter, as long as we get engagement, we get feedback, we know, okay, this is working, you guys are liking that, or, you know, we took a test with this, we took a challenge. I did some Call of Duty videos one time here that didn't go too well, but guess what? I tried it, right? And that's the good thing there. And plus, we got the press pause stuff for some of the game stuff and the Twitch streams. Now, what is it that we like to do in Byte That? If you had to ask us, okay, just directly specify what Ryan, Keith, and Juan enjoy doing, it would be 2 things primarily. And that would be the podcast. Obviously, it is something that we look forward to every week. Switching from Tuesdays to Wednesdays has been a blessing for us. It's allowed a more relaxed schedule because we don't have to watch Raw and then immediately go like, okay, we got to talk about it tomorrow. We can digest Raw. We can digest SmackDown. We have 3 days after the pay-per-view. So when we talk on Wednesdays, we kind of just feel calm. We feel at ease. We feel like we're comfortable and just ready, and we can let things that we've been thinking about sort of marinate as opposed to just go based on the first thing that comes to your head. The second thing will be recording the Play That videos, which evolved from the BT plays. Originally, the BT plays were a sort of a wrestling break for us, even though it's about wrestling games, but to take a discussion break. But then editing-wise, honestly, it became rather dull for me. So I took the challenge of, okay, let's do something else. Let's make something of it. Let's make it an experience, right? Not everybody has seen these games. And if we do an uncut video, we can't get to a lot of stuff. Whereas if we record longer, but we're able to sort of get a little bit jump cutty, we can get creative. If we make a reference, I can have something pop up on screen. So rather than it being another Let's Play video, because there's a bunch of them out there, there's other channels for that. We want it to be so it's the three of us, which if you enjoy listening to us on the podcast, then here's this thing where we're just playing. We're having a good time, but you can get quite an experience out of it. You can get information. You can get the gameplay. You can get sometimes stories. Some videos, we barely talk about the game. Like we got a video coming up in about a month or a couple of weeks, part 2 of our Day of Reckoning thing, where we are going to be talking basically about us, but we're playing the game, having a good time. So we're hoping that you guys and gals have been enjoying that. So if that is the case, also drop a comment about that. Now with time, you learn about things that work, things that don't, and then things that you want to maybe change because you want to prioritize. And our priority has been the podcast. I think it's been no surprise to anybody, but if you look at YouTube, YouTube is going through this change right now where they changed algorithms, and we started off 2016 hot, like not just hot and spicy like Curry Man. We started off 2016 gaining a lot of subscribers every day thanks to the top 10 wrestling games. The podcast was gaining views. All of a sudden, YouTube took a change, and maybe some people subscribe, unsubscribe, like that. That's part of it, right? Even a TV show, you can enjoy a season, you take a break, you come right back. So that's not a problem. But we have seen YouTube change some things, and that has caused a drop in comments and likes and subscribes and pretty much everything on not just the podcast, everything as a whole. And the thing is that we have grown a lot on RSS side, like on the, if you have a podcast app or something on your phone, that has grown a lot to the point where, we're getting 1/7 of the audience on YouTube, but we enjoy the, even if it's one comment on YouTube, it's not about getting 100. It's honestly about just getting to build the community, but we want to make sure that we don't neglect the podcast out of fear of, well, this isn't working, so we got to add more content. We got to add more videos. We got to get more wacky and crazy. No. We know what we like to do, and we want to keep doing it for 5 years. We want to keep doing it for whatever time, right? Life changes, but we want to make sure that the podcast never stops. And for that, we got to make some changes. So right now, we used to publish videos on Wednesday nights, which is the podcast, on Friday nights, more or less, or Friday during the day, and then on the weekends, which could be a review or something like that. It's not the same content always. Plus, every now and then I post an unboxing video. So after this video, starting next week, we are going to be changing that. So it's going to be podcast on Wednesday nights, and then on the weekends, you're going to get either a Square Roundtable, a Play That, a pay-per-view review. The unboxings may still come out every now and then on a random date, but from now on, we are going to prioritize Wednesday nights and the weekends, effectively removing one video officially from the channel. And this is to make sure that, honestly, we don't suffer from any kind of burnout long-term. We're always thinking long-term, especially I know Ryan and Keith, if you guys are watching this, you're going to be like, yep, I always worry about the future. I don't worry about the 1-year plan. I worry about the 5 to 10-year plan. And in order to do that, as we grow, as we get more responsibilities, we get less time. And Byte That is not our career. Ideally, we would love to do this full time and do as many things as we can, but it's not true, right? So this is our way of making sure we have more resting time between podcast episodes, that we can engage better in social media, and that we can focus on providing consistent content that you guys enjoy. And as always, let us know what it is you enjoy. Aside from the podcast, what else do you like? And what do you like about from the podcast? Maybe what don't you like from some of the things that we've done that we could work on? So once again, Wednesdays and weekends. So on the weekend that there's a pay-per-view, you're going to get a review 80% of the time. The benefit of this is that because we have more freedom, maybe it's not always going to be Ryan. Maybe Ryan can actually take a break, and it can be 2 of us. It can be 1 of us. We actually got a couple of goals on Patreon. Then that's going to be the next topic right now that can help ensure that we can get more of us involved, right? So we launched the Patreon campaign earlier this year. And it's always tricky when you launch something expecting a monetary investment, because the moment you put $1 to $1 million on us on Patreon, the amount doesn't matter. You're giving us some of your money because you believe in what we do. You believe in not just the content, but the personalities, the people behind the videos, and the podcast. And we have no idea how grateful we are about that. We just crossed the $50 goal, which means we're going to be getting to a 12-hour wrestling game marathon very soon. So stay tuned for that. More information on the podcast that will be there. But the Patreon, it has allowed us to take bigger risks because we want to know, okay, so even when somebody pledges on Patreon, why do they pledge? And the majority always seems to be podcast. So the problem was that when we launched the Patreon, we didn't think about that. We thought about content, as in just things. So all the content that we've made for patrons was for non-podcasts. So if you enjoy the podcast, none of those features really work for you. So we're starting in January primarily, even though we've already added, you can get even for just $1 access to a raw, uncut video version of the podcast. So what that is, because we bring it up every week, it's that we record in OBS, which is what I'm recording this right now. But I'm right now recording in OBS and then recording in Audacity, a separate audio file, which is better quality. I reduce the sound, the background noise, and all that. Raw and uncut means you get the audio directly from OBS with no sound editing. So any mistakes, any things that are happening, they go there. You get no music, no fancy stuff, just the 2 or 3 of us talking, depending on who's on a podcast episode. And you can get that for just $1. For just $1, you can support us and you get access to that. Right now, you can also get access to an agenda of every podcast episode that we put out from now on. And that is the exact same agenda that we read. So it's like a quick tidbit. It's a cool thing, you know. If you enjoy the podcast, you can see exactly our structure, how we prepare things. And we're going to be adding more features. Once we reach the $100 goal, the $251, we just want to make sure that 2017 is a comfortable year for growth. We don't want to desperately change things every 2 weeks or so. We want to make sure that if you're watching this right now, odds are you're one of the I don't want to say smaller audience, but you know what it is. You like to go behind the scenes, so you have a bigger investment in Byte That, right? And for that, we appreciate you. And whether you support us on Patreon or not, share it. You know, the best way that you can do is share the YouTube channel, share the podcast, follow us on Twitter, because we can't grow without you. You know, we can plan the best podcast out there with a lot of the channels that are changing because of this YouTube situation. Unless you that is watching or listening to this right now, unless you directly support us by sharing, by spreading the love, getting the word out about the podcast, we're not going to grow. And that is a great problem to have, because it just means that we want you in this. So that's why with the Patreon, for example, we also provide exclusive updates for just $1. And those updates are about, hey, we're thinking about doing this. You that is directly investing in us, what do you think about this? Should we do this? Should we not? So you basically become a producer of Byte That, or an associate producer. So if you have any questions about that, definitely let us know. So to summarize, our priority for 2017 is going to be the podcast. We're changing the content schedule to Wednesdays and weekends. We're going to be focusing on building better features for the patron. And yeah, if you have any more questions, simply drop a comment. We're more than open to answering any questions you could possibly have. I talk a lot, as you can tell on the podcast or even in this video. And I just want to close out by saying thank you. You know, we've been doing Byte That for over 3 years now. And because of that, I would say Ryan, Keith, and myself's friendship has gotten stronger, right? We hang out every Wednesday. Really, the podcast is the best excuse to hang out. Because every Wednesday, it doesn't matter how bad or good your week has been, you talk with your friends, with your family, and then we extend that conversation to you guys, our additional family, and you laugh at our jokes. Maybe you shake your head at my lame-ass jokes, which I know are lame, but that is who I am, right? And we get to build the Bike Club community. So we're thinking even more features on Patreon that's going to help with that. And hopefully we can meet a couple of you during WrestleMania weekend in 2017. So thank you for watching this. I'm not going to do the usual outro, like and subscribe and all that. What matters is that, once again, thank you for your support, for helping Byte That grow every week. I know that some of you may not be a huge fan of the change. Hopefully, most of you are in this for the ride. Let's make Byte That great again. Maybe it didn't work out for Darren Young and Bob Backlund all that much. Maybe for Byte That it does. So thank you for watching. Have a wonderful Christmas. Have a wonderful time. Eat a lot of food, then feel like crap, but then feel so good about the food that you did eat, that you ate. Get a bunch of gifts. Give some gifts away. And the gift doesn't have to be about boxes. It can be about a hug. It can be a good compliment. Not sure what that has to do with Byte That. I just like to help out people. So thank you so much. And we'll be back with a lot more right here on Byte That.